These instructions. Oh, I just-
Hi, I'm Jill Dennis, and I am the co-owner of the Assured Supervision Accountability Program, and I'm also the vice president of the Association for Supervised Ankle Monitoring Providers. And the reason why we wanted to speak with you guys today is just to go over some things that are happening in Louisiana. And for me, I have to start at the beginning. I've known Michelle a long time. Michelle and I have been in the bail fight for a long time. She's the most dedicated person to that bail fight, along with Matt, that I know. And a few agents I seen pop on. I know from the, being in bail. I came from bail, still in bail. Um, and we began doing GPS supervision in our office as bail agents. We used it in a way that the courts could use it to make sure that people return to court when after they missed court. So we used it as a part of our bounty hunting and in recovery. From there, we began going out and realizing when we realized that that was the solution that we needed, we began reaching out to agents, and that's how I met Michelle. From there, we had a case that happened where a gentleman was put on an ankle monitor and he killed his wife while on the ankle monitor, and it showed that the provider just wasn't tracking him and reporting the violations after 2 weeks of stalking that victim. We assisted the DA in St. Francisville with prosecuting that provider. Um, However, the appeals court came back and said there's no law that says a provider of GPS actually has to monitor someone. Uh, it made me really upset. I didn't know what to do. And the only thing that stuck out to me is there was no law. I drove to the Capitol, no radio except worship music, praying because I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew something needed to be done. I went to the Capitol, um, started just following people around, started asking questions, got meetings with some legislators, and they kept telling me, find an instrument, find an instrument. I didn't know what that meant, couldn't find that instrument. So I went back to my office and we wrote a law. That law has since become Act 746. That law did four things. For some of the problems that we were having, we solved some big issues. It made sure there was a difference between the manufacturer of GPS and the provider. Who is the person responsible to watch an offender? It set up a standardized reporting process where immediate action alarms, strap tampers, anything that's going to make it to where we can't track a person or a victim is in trouble, those were called immediate action alarms. Those had to be reported to the court with notes on what we have done to rectify that issue within 24 hours. Another thing that it did is it said if someone does not report or intentionally withholds this report, it gave three punishments. They get fined, they can go to jail, and they get kicked out of the state for 5 years from doing GPS. There's a few other things, a registry that it did. All of that's changing with the new legislation, so I won't really get into it. But that bill passed with no objection. There wasn't one Republican or Democrat that voted no on that bill. It was something that was so much needed. However, one of the things that we needed to make sure and drive home is the necessity of the bail bond. The bail bond through the bail bond agent gave us the arrest powers. The arrest powers is the one thing that bail does when it comes to securing someone from um, missing court, and you guys take care of that. And I know I've been in the business for 20 years now. I know um, that the states that don't have you or have legislated you out are hurting because they need people like you. The problem is we have to make sure they understand that the biggest benefit that we have to the court is our arrest power. So now that legislation is in effect, there was one more piece that was missing. So the Association of Supervised Ankle Monitors was formed, and as vice president, one of the first things we did was write an offender management system. That offender management system allows law enforcement for all across our state to log in and see everybody on an ankle monitor. And also across the country, we have other states now that are coming in and saying, "Hey, we want the system." It allows. It's just like a jail booking when you go into the inmate screen at a jail. It allows the community to see who's on an ankle monitor, what jurisdiction they're out of, who's supervising that ankle monitor. That's for the community. There's also a way for them to see how many violation reports an offender got in a certain courtroom. That was a real big deal. That was something that was asked about because of a situation where a fella on an ankle monitor shot 4 people, killing 1. Within 10 minutes of that shooting, they knew who was supervising the offender, and within 30 minutes, he was in custody. All of that is work that we've worked here locally with our local law enforcement, but it happens all the way up to Lafayette. So, coordinated efforts between U.S. Marshals and the local law enforcement is something that is very important to us. So, the database brought everything into one screen. This allows law enforcement to log in at any time. They can search somebody under a device number, they can search somebody under a name, an address, and it has helped them tremendously. We have so many law enforcement agencies that are logging in and trying to get logins now. But every NOPD officer, every state trooper, ICE, U.S. Marshals, ATF, local police departments, they all have access. So now that that is out and people are using it, the next legislation is being written right now to include that. And it's actually written. It's ready to go, and it'll be actually submitted by Friday. And that legislation. So we have identified who the provider is, and we made sure that now these providers are watching these offenders. What the legislation is going to do is make that provider be a licensed bail agent. Having a license license allows for the arrest power when you have a strap tamper, when you have somebody that the judge wants to see tomorrow, when somebody misses court. That arrest power is in bail, and that's why GPS only works if it's in bail. And you can be post certified as well if you're a law enforcement agency that is running a program. As long as you're post certified, you can also provide the service. But GPS in the state of Louisiana will be done through the bail bondsman in the area. And it's some parts of that is okay. We have a lot of very, very good bail agents. We have one on, I know right now, April. We have a lot of very, very good bail agents across our state. But everybody that works in bail knows there's some bail agents that don't perform as they should. It's their bottom line and not public safety, and that's hard. However, the first legislation took care of that, because if they think they're going to do GPS and they're not going to watch these people, they're not going to be able to do GPS. I wanted to make sure that when we did go to in this law, that there was a way to get rid of the bad actors. I think bail's missing that, but we worked very hard with making sure that where we are and our state knows that bail is the answer. And there's not a whole lot of other things you can do that over and over again, sheriff's departments and these free GPS providers are trying to replace bail. And what they're realizing is they can't replace bail because they don't have the arrest powers. Who goes get them? And local law enforcement's they're understaffed. They don't have the capabilities of doing it. Our jails are overcrowded or understaffed. Not all of them are overcrowded. Some of them are just understaffed. And when we got into this, a lot of our offenders were domestics and DWIs. Today, right now, I'm waiting on a call from the jail to go pick up an offender that has a detainer for ICE. We live in a sanctuary city, where this guy lives in a sanctuary city, and they won't call ICE. So ICE has a detainer on him. So they looked in our database. They seen that this guy was registered, and they said, "Can you let us know when you pick him up?" Sure. That's what we do. It's important that we work with law enforcement. We have some areas where when the judge says, "I want him in, I want to revoke the bond," they want us to call them. They want to come with us. And that's very important. Sorry. So I just want to make sure that one of the things that we've always done is bail needs to make sure that the courts understand the arrest power, the power that they have, that bail has, if an offender doesn't show up on time for curfew, if the offender leaves home when he's not supposed to, if the offender is out there violating. Right now, there's not one law enforcement agency across the state that can't put in the location of a crime and see if anybody wearing an ankle monitor was at that location. I can give you, and I'll give you one story where we had an offender commit a murder in Lafayette. He was arrested in Baton Rouge wearing an ankle monitor out of Orleans Parish. And they were able to piece it all together, and it took months. Today, if something happens in Baton Rouge, they're calling me today. And they're saying, "Hey, he showed up on this report." And I show them where to go. They get the bond company's name, phone number. They can call, get a copy of the application if they need it. They find out who's supervising that offender, and they call them and they say, "Hey, I need reports." Many of the law enforcement agencies don't even call for reports anymore. They run their own. That's how we should work as bail, as supervision. We should work hand in hand with law enforcement. And I know most of us do. But again, it's important that we do that. I don't know how much time has went by. I was trying to pay attention. So that just leads us to where we are today. The actual offender management system is available. What we're doing right now is we're inviting members to come over to sign up. When you sign up, you will have access to that full system. Once you do that, we'll give you a call. We'll see what your needs are. We'll come in and help. The offender management system does a whole lot of things. If you are having GPS on a court ordered ankle monitor and they violate, the court wants immediate, as fast as possible. They want a response to those violations. So what the system does is it allows us to put in those violations. The minute you hit submit, it gets emailed to the clerk, the judge, the district attorney's office, to the bonds, to you, so that you have a record as well. And then from there, we have another department that does an auditing. And auditing, what they do is they look at yesterday. Someone with a curfew leaves. You can't do a report right then because the judge wants to know where they've been, how long before they got home. And so you have to wait until they get home. So what we do is we look at yesterday, and anybody that received an alert, whether it was an inclusion, an exclusion, low battery, every alert you can get, they make a ticket for it, and someone looks at that violation or that alert to see if it was a violation. And if they do, they send a report to the court. The minute they hit submit, it goes to every agency that needs to get it. If the clerk needs to get it to put it as part of the record, it goes there. Of course, the ADAs are going to want it, public defenders, and the judge. Sometimes they're a part of a pretrial service. We send them to them as well. Probation officers. Sometimes there's a probation bond and a probation officer, and we send it to them. As the bondsman, you get a copy. You have access. One of the good things about that is the judge doesn't need to look for the paperwork. They simply have their own login. They go to that offender. They can see everything going on with their offender. It's all being done through bail, and they can respond through that email and say, hey, I want them in court tomorrow, or hey, go pick them up and put them in jail. And when they do that, that's one thing that what we do is we worked with the courts to work this out, because sometimes people just need to sit in jail for a day or two because they're violating curfew. We're not surrendering the bonds. The judge is letting them back out on the same bonds. So it's not a situation where an offender's having to pay over and over again. But that allows that offender to come back out and try again on that same bond. One of the other things that they've done is just bring them into court and let the judge just remind them, hey, these are your conditions. If you're not going to follow your conditions, your bondsman's not, they're going to put you in jail because I'm going to tell them to. So it's not always where you have to surrender your bond, but it's going to be up to the judge. And the public safety aspect of it, we have a lot of victims of violent crime right now. And we have a lot of family people that do bail, and they do care about their community. And the best place to be when is the person that can make sure that people aren't getting hurt. The latest story it was a crazy story, but I think the girl's in jail. She let her brother try to cut her ankle monitor. We may have saved her life. And it's story after story like that makes us continue to do what we're doing. And it's story after story of people coming and approaching us and saying, thank you for what you do. And that's why we do it, because the people that are thanking us are these victims, the ones that we've saved, the ones that we've helped, the families that these offenders or defendants are drug addicted. And we already do that as bondsmen. We try to help. We do try to help people that we think are capable of that help. And this is just a tool that allows you to help, but at the same time, keep the public safe. And that's very important. It's a help for your sheriffs. It's a help for the courts. It is a solution that the courts need, because they are looking for answers, and they've had a few years to try to do something, and they're only making it worse, and bail can make it better.
Jill, can we have some people ask some questions?
Okay.
So if you have a question, go ahead and unmute.
I have a question, John.
Go ahead.
Jill, I know that the Association of Louisiana Bail Underwriters has been around, for eons. I guess my question to you is, because all of us here are in so many different states, how does the state association feel about what you guys are doing, have done, and continue to do? Are they working in conjunction with you? What is the relationship there?
Okay, my name's Matt Dennis. Some of you may know me. I'm going to answer that one because, we are not in any way trying to fight with bail or be against bail. And I understand that there are some beliefs that some of what we've done could have been detrimental to bail. This is a process. I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to introduce myself. I've been in this for 32 years. Prior to this, I was in the United States Navy. I was an avionics tech. And one of the tasks that I ended up doing was having to go to Texas Instruments to be taught the United States Navy's GPS system so we could install it in the P3 Orion fleet. I then traveled across the country to every Navy squadron in the country and taught them how to use and install GPS systems in the P3 Orion fleet. Now, fast forward, I become a bondsman and a bounty hunter. A reporter once called me the knuckle-dragging tech geek, but it came to my attention that the Vera Institute of Justice was going to attempt to take over a failing taxpayer-funded sheriff's ankle monitor program. And it was brought to my attention by a friend who was a sheriff's deputy who had just won an election and had resigned that morning, so he was free to talk. And he brought me a copy of a white paper where the Vera Institute of Justice intended to defeat my argument. And my argument was, what do you do when your risk assessments are wrong? And with that, they were going to say, we're going to put them on ankle monitors. So there was no way I was in hell I was going to let that happen. And I instantly went back to my Navy training. I took ankle monitors. I met with the sheriff. In fact, funny story, April, we were in your office talking to your dad when the sheriff called and said, Matt, you need to come over here. I have 45 individuals lined up in the hallway. We're taking their ankle monitors off and they have to go to you. The sheriff quit in one day because he could not beat what we did with bail. We were able to get with Blair's, get with number one bail bonds, get with ABAC bonding, get with every single bail bonds company in the greater New Orleans area. And the second the sheriff lost somebody, we went and found them and brought them in and asked the sheriff, why in the hell are you watching people that we have on bail and not telling us? And the sheriff instantly quit. So fast forward to now, again, I want to say to your group, I'm not always an easy person to talk to. And I've gotten myself blocked and kicked out of plenty. And Michelle has never blocked me and never kicked me out. And I don't know why, but thank you. But the bottom line is
I don't want to interrupt you, but and we have a lot of questions here. We don't have a lot of time.
Well, I got to finish
but
this.
I don't think that I got an answer to
You're
my
about
question.
to get that answer.
Can you just give me a short answer so other people
Sure.
can ask questions?
We have two types of bail in our country. We have bail agents that want to survive and they want to be the solution. We have bail agents that just want to be bail agents. I have no problem with either. And the association and the state of Louisiana is a good association. They do good work. They do a lot of things to protect bail. There are people in the industry that don't like GPS, and I get it. So where are we with our association? We supported every bill they had in the last session, and they supported ours. They amended ours to make sure that all violations have to be legally, lawfully reported to the bondsman. It's illegal to not report the violation to the bail agent anymore in this state. So we worked hand in hand together to make sure that the GPS bill included them and that their bills got our support. And that's exactly what we intend to do this session as well. I wish we could be closer. I wish all of us could actually group together and work together as a big team. We're not there yet, but we're getting closer.
Amen. So thank you for your answer. And anybody else want to raise their hand?
Yeah. Yes. Mario Garza here.
Yeah.
I'm out of Texas, which we're neighboring. You said two things that are very catchy. The bail reform movement has tried to replace the bondsman with GPS monitors. We saw that years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago. They had 4,000 people here on monitors. But you said two things that, one, the arrest powers. That's a very catchy thing that I guess I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was, but that's the part of it that includes bail, the arrest powers and the database. That's a novel idea. I mean, very, as simple as it may seem, it's very novel because there's so much backlash. And while your ideas are good, that's why I'm glad Michelle asked that question about the legislative, because with all the backlash against bondsmen, anytime you mention bail and bail bondsman in that sentence, there's this, well, what's your angle and what are you trying to get out of it is kind of how we're treated. But you mentioned the public safety issue. That's what we provide. We were much safer when bondsmen were monitoring people in whatever way that was, whether it was ankle monitors or just plain having them check in. So I guess my question, I should have gotten to that, is what are the major strategies that we could use, say, here in Texas to get something like that legislative. We're in the middle of our legislative session right now, so if we were to do anything, it would be in 2 years. We have victims that go to the legislative for us, but they obviously get it wrong a lot because there's no middle ground. It's all lock them up, don't give them bail, and that's not going to be possible when you run into the constitutional hangups of holding everybody to zero bail. So I guess again,
Do you guys have any friendly legislators?
we do have some through the state association. We do, but I even think a lot of the legislators, as you probably have witnessed, they get bail wrong until somebody explains it.
What, can I ask you a question,
that-
Mario? What's the
My question
status
is
of your,
the blueprint. What would be major key point strategies?
yeah, good question. Mark, can I ask you a quick question? What's the status of the preventative detention bills that are in front of your legislature right now? Have they passed?
They're in the House. They went from the Senate, and now they're in the House. Which there's two chambers in most
Mhm.
legislatures. So that's where they're at right now. But they're pretty strong about they've got a lot of support.
Yeah, well, so the answer to your question is two-part. You're going to have her part and then my part, but my part is actually first. First of all, I want you to understand, preventative detention is, we all know what that is. You're going to keep people in jail pre-trial based on, they're going to add 80 charges or whatever. It's no longer just first-degree murder. Preventative detention is the ability to put somebody in jail. And I want you to be very clear on something. We run a digital jail. The city of New Orleans, Katrina had 7,000 beds. They shrunk it down to 3,400 beds in 2014, and now to 1,280 beds today. But they also, at the time we took over, had 45 people on ankle monitor. Just in the city of New Orleans now, we have 450. So the difference is huge. And it went from being a $1.2 million a year taxpayer-funded program to a $0 a year offender-based program. And it's a perfect program for them. So your very first step is to understand, first of all, if you can't beat them, join them. If they're going to force preventative detention on them, then build a damn jail. That's the first thing you got to do. They do not have the brick and mortar space. They don't have the money. They don't have the deputies. They call their bluff. Build the digital jail. They will fill it up. They will fill it up and fill it up and fill it up. That's what we did in New Orleans. The first thing we did was build the jail. Then we explained to them how we can take care of these people with arrest powers. Then Jill went to the legislature.
So and I'm not gonna lie, it's a battle. We've discussed many times, do we do ankle monitors for people that aren't released on bail? And the question I had is, how do we show them the difference if we don't? So we did a couple, and it only takes a couple in each courtroom where somebody does something wrong and the judge says, well, why didn't you go get them? And I'm like, well, Your Honor, you released them on an ROR bond. I can't arrest on ROR bond. You should have done a bond. And now that judge will never release somebody on GPS without a bond, because they need that arrest power. They need to have somebody, a judge would love to have somebody that they can call to say, get this guy in my courtroom tomorrow so I don't wind up on the news on Thursday. So that's very, very important.
And remember, you just said the judges, we bondsmen, we walk in there, 32-year bondsman here, a general agent. Walk into the judge's office. They don't want to talk to us. They don't want to hear us. They call Jill daily, all day. We are currently in the middle of working on a case, and we all have this. We have a illegal alien who is in this country illegally. He is charged with raping an under 13-year-old child. He is in a sanctuary city jail. The judge has ordered him released. The judge understands what's going on. That person, as we speak, is having their ankle monitor installed. They will be brought to our office against their will because they're in our custody, because they're the bond, and we're the bondsman. That person will be handed over to immigration in our office, and that person will be dealt with by immigration. However you feel politically on that area, our job is to follow and help the courts in the things that they need solved. Law enforcement and pretrial services must report to us. Every single person released to pretrial services must report to us. And that's what we did. We forced those people who were trying to take our jobs to be subservient to our program, because this is the only program the judge can call at 2:30 in the morning and say, go get them.
Well, that was what we were leading to, is that the pretrial services expanded, but who monitors them overnight after hours when people go home? They're county employees, so they're not there. That was what we were trying to, and you answered. Your idea is very novel, and thank you for sharing that. That's what I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You're gonna have to unmute because I cannot unmute you and I can't see hands.
So the reporting to the bondsman part that you mentioned earlier,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had that happen at all. Not a single.
So that's
In 4
April, right?
months.
Yes, that's it.
That's
Yeah.
April. I can tell your
Thank
voice.
Yeah, it Act 746, it's actually RS 15571.36, and I'll repeat that if anybody needs me to. It does include that reporting has to be sent to the court, to the district attorney's office, and to the bonding company within 24 hours of the violation. That's for strap tampers, exclusions. But that is the mandatory reporting process.
Hey, April, do me a favor. We're gonna
Sure.
come. With that said, I know we just dealt with some stuff in Lafayette earlier today. I want to come. We're going to be able to help you with that. We're going to have to force them. It's a brand new law that went into effect January the 1st. We are slowly but surely forcing all 64 parishes, and it is a shock to them. There's more to it than that. They have to. All persons enrolled must be put in the docket. There's things like that. And while we
Yeah, I
got the
stopped
law
putting
passed,
bracelets on because of that.
well, they got the what's that?
That's the reason I stopped putting bracelets on at the end of 24.
Why? Because of the new law?
Yeah, I just wasn't prepared to.
Oh,
Yeah.
girl, we can help you with that. We'll take care of that. It's simple. It's so easy. It's not a problem. But more important than that, I want to make sure that whoever's doing ankle monitors in Lafayette and all of your area is reporting to you in accordance with the law. That is exactly why we set up the association. The association really isn't about ankle monitor providers. It's not about that. It's about making sure that the bail agents get the information that they're allowed to get, that they should get, that the law enforcement gets it, that the judge gets it, that the community gets it. I can't keep a judge honest if I can't expose a bad judge. Why can we do a story, put a bad judge on the news, and then the next day the judge call me and say, Matt, how do we solve this? Instead of the judge throwing us out, because they're addicted. They can't get away. So now with the law in place, any provider that's not reporting to you, I'm going to get them shut down, or I'm going to get them to report to you. And by the way, April, it doesn't mean you got to do anything. You're not required to do anything. As the bondsman, the Bail Association asked for that amendment. We totally agreed because we felt like it
Yeah,
was
same.
fair.
Same. But I'd like it to be done.
No, it's going to get done. If you're I know Lafayette is a lot of government-run ankle monitors, and it's a lot of taxpayer-funded ankle monitors. So that's actually in our sights, because you have to
So
understand.
do they still have to report to me?
Absolutely. The law does not only that, juveniles have to be reported. The law does not separate adults from juveniles. Okay. So it is designed to make sure that any person who's responsible for that individual gets a report, and you're responsible. Like I said, the actual language says that you must report to the bondsman within 24 hours. Anytime they fail to do that, it's a violation of the statute, punishable by a criminal charge with jail time, $1,000 fine per instance, and 5-year ban from the state. So we are absolutely going after the government entities. That was the intention of the law, to eliminate the government irresponsible entities. Not one person is killed in a bail run program run right. Everybody dying and being killed by dead batteries or cut off bracelets or kids that just don't listen is being done by a government-run program that nobody answers to. This law changed that, and we're going to enforce it. So Lafayette will be our starting point. I say starting point. New Orleans was what we flipped first, and Jefferson. I want to say one more thing, just so you guys understand. A news story went out a week ago about an individual, an illegal alien that cut his ankle monitor in St. Bernard Parish. The news alluded to law enforcement let him go. and the colonel from the sheriff's department called me, and we came to a new agreement. We will never go into St. Bernard Parish without calling them first because they want to be there to help. I told them 90% of the strap tampers are false alarms. We got to deal with it and it's over. He said, great, my deputy will be in the front yard. If you don't need them, wave at them, they'll leave. And he asked me a question. He said, Matt, would the guy have gotten away if my deputies were with you? And the answer is hell no. And he said, then we will be there every single time. 15 years ago, that very same parish arrested a bounty hunter for coming into St. Bernard Parish and bounty hunting. And they did it because he called the police and they can't stand the bondsman. And they don't want the bondsman coming into St. Bernard Parish knocking on doors. And they were really pushing hard on convicting this guy. This is this huge shift in that parish that we've saw happen. So we're going to come in and help you make sure that Lafayette reports to you, because I want to shut Lafayette's government entity down.
Or make them do it right.
Or make them do it right. I don't care if they do it right, but if they're going to, that means that they need you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I guess my reasoning on getting out was, well, if they're going to report to me for free, because I had such a headache with the bracelets and the violations and just the lack of staff to help me out with it, then I'll just let them do it and report to me for free. And we're 4 months in and I haven't gotten a single, and I have
Do
like
you-
20 something agents here.
Do you know of any strap tampers or leaving the state or victim issues?
No.
Because those are dead batteries, or those are the alerts that they have to report to you.
I mean, I'm sure it's happened.
We'll get with
You know.
you after all of this.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
whole
fine.
point of this, is we want to help. We want to help people like Mario figure out what is step one. People like this association be able to provide its agents with new ideas. We're not trying to get anybody's ankle monitors to use our program. You do not need to use our ankle monitors. There is no cost to the program to get into the offender management system. If you have your own equipment, you can still use it. It's just it's a team building effort to work together. And in our own state, we have laws. And while we're going to try to help other states create laws, in the meantime, we're going to start enforcing the laws of this state. And I want to leave you with this on that. Jill's going to end up talking to the Attorney General this week anyway. And we're already talking to her about an OJJ, that's Office of Juvenile Justice. Long story, I don't want to go into it, but they're trying to do some juveniles, and we're okay with it, but they have to do it right, and the Attorney General is helping make sure that happens. So we're going to add Lafayette to that. So I know that the Attorney General and the Governor are working on a state police presence in Baton Rouge like they have in New Orleans. I don't know, did you hear that?
No.
Okay, well, for anybody outside of Louisiana, our governor took over the city of New Orleans with the state police. He brought in 50 state troopers. New Orleans is not allowed to do police chases. The state police do. New Orleans is not allowed to do state stop and frisk. The state police do. New Orleans cannot use facial recognition software. The state police do. Well, they're doing the same thing in Baton Rouge. He has a plan for Lafayette and Shreveport as well. So we're going to work with them to make sure that Lafayette is added to the list of places that aren't reporting. We need more places like that we know they're not reporting.
Oh, yeah. I have several. I can give you 5 for sure.
We'll be calling.
All right, anybody else have questions?
Great. Well, I think this was an excellent, first get together and a first call. Jill, I look forward to working with you on putting together something for the second call. Maybe we can do something structured and talk about that on social media so that we can invite some of our membership in again. For all of you that are on this call, many of you have agent teams. Our membership is only $50. Please, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, please take 5 minutes and join your agents onto our association. All you have to do is just simply go to our website, National Association of Bail Agents.org. We plan on doing these at least once a month. And we're very thankful to both of you, Jill and Matt Dennis, not only for taking the time to do this call, but for all the hard work and effort and blood, sweat, and tears that you put in to save our industry and to promote something that is new, different, and accountable. So we honor you for that. And thank all of you for being on this call this evening. God bless each and every one of you. Get home safely. And certainly God bless Bale.
Thank you.
Thank you,
so much.
Michelle.
Thank you, Jill and Dennis.
Thank you.
Hey, Dennis,
Hey,
can you email me a copy of the bill draft from the first session? Not this year's, but the first one.
we're gonna give you, can I ask a question?
Yep.
Well, okay, so the one that's going in this year includes all of the current language and plus the changes. Would you prefer the newer one or the older one? The older one, you know, you had to take baby steps. So the newer one is what you're gonna really want.
Well, send them both. Send them both. It's always hard to separate the new language. So if I can see the original draft and then the new draft, then I can actually see the differences.
Okay.
Perfect.
Easy.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.